Welcome back, coin lovers. Today, we're traveling back to the 1970s, the era of disco, denim, and a coin that many Canadians carried in their pockets daily. The 1976 Canada 5-cent coin. It may seem small, but this nickel has a story, and possibly a surprising value worth paying attention to. The 5-cent coin from 1976 features Canada's long-standing beaver design, a proud symbol of Canadian heritage and industry. Designed by G.E. Kruger Gray, the beaver has been a staple on Canadian nickels since 1937. On the obverse, we see Queen Elizabeth II in her youthful portrait, sculpted by Arnold Machin. The reverse shows the detailed engraving of a beaver sitting on a rock, under the word Canada, and the coin's date, 1976. In 1976, over 76 million of these coins were struck at the Royal Canadian Mint. The coin is made entirely of nickel, giving it its traditional weight and feel. There were no mint marks used in this year, and no proof sets issued for the general public, meaning all coins were either circulated or part of official collector sets. So, how much is a 1976 Canadian nickel really worth today? Well, like most coins, it depends on condition. Here's a breakdown of typical values based on grading. If your 1976 nickel is worn from use, which most are, it's typically worth face value, or maybe $0.10 to $0.20 CD to a bulk buyer. These are very common, and millions were made. Coins that were barely circulated and have strong details with just slight wear can be worth $0.50 to $1 CD to the right buyer, especially if they still have their original shine. Here's where things get more interesting. A mint state 1976 nickel, with full luster and no wear, can fetch anywhere from $2 to $10 CAD, depending on the grade. The most pristine examples, certified as MS-65 or MS-66, could bring $15 to $25 CAD at auctions or through collectors. Now, keep your eyes open for errors. Off-center strikes, die cracks, or double strikes are rare but real, and they can raise the value of a 1976 nickel significantly. Some verified errors have sold for $50 or more, depending on their uniqueness. In 1976, Canada celebrated its 109th year since Confederation, and the Royal Canadian Mint was still using nickel to strike coins, unlike today, where plated steel is more common. That makes your 1976 nickel part of a classic era in Canadian coinage. So, is it worth keeping your 1976 nickel? Absolutely, especially if it's in great condition. While it may not buy you a cup of coffee, it's a piece of Canadian history, and in the right grade or with the right error, it might even surprise you at auction. For the 1976 Canada 5-cent coin, condition can make the difference between face value and a coin worth several dollars. Most 1976 nickels you'll find today are circulated, meaning they've been used in everyday transactions. These coins typically fall into grades like very good, VG, fine, F, or extremely fine, EF. In these conditions, the coin shows noticeable wear, the beaver might be missing fine detail, the queen's portrait may look smooth, and the fields of the coin are dull or scratched. These coins are typically worth 5 to 15 cents at best, just over face value for metal content or bulk sales. Next, we have about uncirculated AU coins. These are nickels that were only lightly used, maybe even stored for years. They show minimal signs of wear, mostly on the highest points like the queen's hair and the beaver's fur. With most of the original mint luster still intact, these can sell for $0.50 to $1.50 CAD, depending on eye appeal. Now we're talking premium condition, mint state, also called uncirculated. These coins have never been used in circulation and have no wear at all. You'll see full luster, sharp detail on the beaver, and a strong, clean strike on the queen's portrait. Grades like MS-60 to MS-65 Plus are what collectors really want. Values here can range from $2 to $10 CAD, and truly pristine coins graded MS-66 or higher by a service like PCGS or ICCS may fetch $20 or more in collector circles. To check your 1976 nickel's condition, look closely at a few key areas. The queen's hair and crown ***. Is it worn smooth or still detailed? The beaver's fur and tail ***. Can you see texture? The coin's fields ***. Are there scratches, dings, or luster breaks? Using a loupe or magnifier and a grading chart can help you estimate the grade. And here's an important tip. Never clean your coins. Even a lightly cleaned coin can lose its collector value, sometimes dropping from $10 to just 5 cents. Collectors prefer coins in natural, unaltered condition. If you think you have a mint state or rare error coin, consider submitting it to a grading service like ICCS, Canada, or PCGS, USA. A certified grade can boost your coin's value and make it easier to sell to collectors. So, check your 1976 nickels carefully. Even something that looks ordinary could be a hidden gem if the condition is just right. To understand the 1976 Canada 5-cent coin, we need to take a step back and look at its roots, design, and role in Canadian history. The 5-cent coin, often called a nickel, has been a staple of Canadian currency since 1858, but its most iconic design didn't appear until 1937. That year, the Royal Canadian Mint introduced a bold new look, the beaver on a rock, surrounded by water. The beaver wasn't just chosen for its charm, it was a symbol of Canadian resilience, industry, and national identity. The beaver design was created by British artist George Edward Kruger Gray, who also contributed to other Commonwealth coinage. His vision of the busy beaver was meant to represent Canada's hard-working spirit and connection to nature. This design has remained virtually unchanged for over 80 years, including on the 1976 issue, making it one of the most enduring symbols in Canadian numismatics. On the front of the coin, the obverse, we find the profile of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait was first used in 1965 and remained on Canadian coinage until 1989. It shows the Queen wearing a tiara and reflects her youthful reign during the post-war era. So what was happening in 1976? It was a significant year in Canada. The country hosted the Summer Olympics in Montreal, a proud moment that drew international attention. Meanwhile, the economy was going through NGE, inflation, rising costs, and a growing push for Canadian cultural identity. Amid all this, the Royal Canadian Mint quietly continued its work, producing over 76 million 5-cent coins that year, all minted in nickel, which gave them their traditional silvery weight and feel. Nickel isn't just a metal, it's a Canadian legacy. Canada, especially regions like Sudbury, Ontario, was a world leader in nickel mining. In fact, for decades, Canadian coins were a showcase of the country's rich natural resources. The 1976 5-cent coin reflects that industrial pride, made entirely of nickel and struck in massive numbers for circulation. While the 1976 nickel didn't introduce any dramatic design changes or commemorations, its historical significance lies in its continuity. It's a part of the everyday currency Canadians used at gas stations, candy stores, and corner shops for decades. Today, it may seem like just another old coin, but for collectors and historians, it's a snapshot of Canada in the mid-70s, wrapped in metal. So next time you find a 1976 nickel in your change jar or coin collection, remember, it's not just pocket change. It's a piece of Canadian history, from a time when beavers ruled the back of our coins and Queen Elizabeth reigned with grace from the front. Thanks for watching.